I didn't raise my voice when I said it. That's the part he remembers later. Not the words themselves, but the way I said them, as if I had already rehearsed them in my head and was simply checking them off a list. We were standing in the kitchen. Evening. The day had already used up most of us. He was leaning against the counter, scrolling on his phone, half listening, as he usually did when the topic drifted toward his mother. I had just finished explaining again why I wouldn't be contributing to a family adjustment she had suggested. An adjustment that somehow always involved my salary and never anyone else's. He sighed, the kind of sigh meant to calm a situation without addressing it. "She's just worried," he said. "You know how she is." That sentence landed somewhere deep and familiar. I realized I'd been hearing versions of it for years. I looked at him and said it clearly. "One more word from your mother about my salary and there will be no more polite conversations. I'll explain to her myself where her place is and why my money is not her property. Do you understand?" He laughed at first, not mockingly, nervously, like someone who thinks humor can rewind time. When I didn't smile back, the laugh stopped. "Why are you making this so serious?" he asked. "Because it already is," I thought. "It's just never been acknowledged." What unsettled him wasn't anger, it was my stillness. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't listing grievances or recounting old arguments. I wasn't asking him to choose sides. I was stating a condition the way you state terms on a document. I've learned that being calm can be more threatening than being loud. For a long time, I'd convinced myself that this was about keeping peace, that tolerating comments about my income, how much I made, how I spent it, what I should be contributing was the cost of being part of a family. I told myself it was easier to let it slide than to risk tension. I told myself I was being mature. What I didn't want to admit was that my silence had been interpreted as access. After that night, nothing exploded. That's what surprised me. There was no dramatic call, no confrontation, no apology tour. There was just a shift. His mother stopped mentioning money directly, but the questions came dressed differently. Casual curiosity, advice, concern. "Have you thought about helping him more? Men feel pressure, you know." Each comment was delivered through him, filtered, softened, as if that made it acceptable. I didn't react. I watched. A few weeks later, we had an appointment at the bank. It was routine, something we'd scheduled months ago to separate some joint expenses more cleanly. Practical, boring, adult. He almost postponed it. I insisted we go. The banker was polite and efficient, explaining options, asking questions, clicking through screens. At one point, she turned to me and asked about my account preferences, my income stream, my financial goals. She addressed me directly without looking at him for confirmation. When she printed the documents, she slid them across the desk toward me. "These accounts," she said, tapping the page, "are fully under your control. Any changes require your authorization only." It wasn't dramatic, no one raised an eyebrow, no one made a speech, but something shifted in the room. My husband sat back in his chair, quiet for the first time. The boundary wasn't just verbal, it was documented, enforced, boring in the way authority often is when it's real. Later in the car, he didn't speak right away. When he finally did, his voice was different, not defensive, but unsettled. "She doesn't mean harm," he said, weaker now. "I know," I replied, "but intention doesn't determine access." He didn't argue with that. His mother still exists in our lives. This wasn't a banishment story. She still calls, she still has opinions, but something essential is no longer available to her. The channel is closed, and he knows it. What changed wasn't that I suddenly became fearless. I still feel the pull to smooth things over, to make myself easier to live with. That part of me didn't disappear. It just stopped being in charge. Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for it. Sometimes I wonder if I resent him for how long it took. There was no celebration, no sense of winning, just a quieter household and a clearer understanding of where I stand. Setting boundaries didn't fix the marriage, it clarified it. And clarity, I've learned, has consequences you live with, not applause you collect.